Hello everyone, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft. We're bringing you matches from the King of the Hill tournament Kaspersky Arena from the December competition. In the bottom right hand corner we have MouzMana, the challenger for this round. In the top left hand corner it is Millennium's ForGG, our current King of the Hill, whom Mana is endeavouring with all his might to topple. But ForGG holding strong and bringing this series back to 2-2. So we do go into game number 5, which is our tiebreaker. The winner of this game will take $300 in the position at the top of the hill for a new challenger to face. And ForGG, having won 2 sets before this, looking quite strong, but Mana showing us he has plenty up his sleeve. So we will see just how these two players decide to approach this final game in the best of 5 series. The map is Belshire Vestige, and for those of you who haven't seen, the map pool in Season 1 of 2014 is actually going to have Belshire Vestige removed from the map pool. And I know there'll be a few sad faces out there. It certainly has been a fixture for some time, but there's certainly some exciting new maps available. So we'll be keen to see some maps and cast those on the new maps. Certainly interesting to see the dynamic change up a little bit. And for the first time in a long time, there's going to be some high yield patches on those maps, and it's always a lot of fun to see how players utilise and work their strategies out around those. So very, very keen for Pro League 2014. Looking forward to casting some excellent games for you guys over the coming weeks and months. Millennium ForGG going for his fairly standard opener. I imagine we'll see that gas taken shortly for the Reaper. And Mana likewise going for both his gas quite quickly. And I doubt we'll be seeing the proxy Stargate again, but always an option. It was quite successful for him in game number 2. Oh, sorry, not game number 2, game number 3. And we'll see how he decides to use this gas. We have 2 workers in each geyser. Oh no, 1 worker in 1 geyser. I imagine shortly we'll have 2 workers in this geyser. And we'll see how Mana decides to spend his gas. Worker actually moving out now. Where is this worker sneaking off to? Oh, looks like it's this guy. I thought we may actually see a proxy out of him, or a proxy Stargate, but looks like that won't be the case. Cybercore almost finished up now. And we can see Mana here checking. This is a very popular proxy location up at the top of this potential third base. And see Millennium's ForGG being very careful to scout this. Wants to know this is the timing that you would look to throw it down, as the Cybercore is just finishing up. So he'll probably be a little bit relieved to see that. Mana going to come here and harass the SCV just a little bit, but the 2 Marines here will force the troublesome probe away. Unable to quite finish the job, that work will continue fearlessly constructing the new command centre. And looks like another 3 racks opening from ForGG. It worked for him last game, why wouldn't he try it again? So yeah, very straightforward opening from Mana. We have 3 workers in both gas going quite strongly, and we have the mothership core in position to defend any potential aggression at this natural expansion. So it looks like we'll be seeing a fairly straightforward sort of gentleman's agreement between these 2 players. Not a whole lot of aggression early on. We'll see if that holds true for much longer. Both these players have shown they can get quite feisty when the occasion calls for it, but we've seen quite a lot of aggression out of the early games, but in spite of that aggression, most of the games actually going to a decent duration. I think we've had 1 game in the entire series that was less than 20 minutes. So I really enjoyed casting this series, and glad I picked this set of games. We will cast the next set of games in this Kaspersky Arena before moving on to some other competitions. Looks like we have a Forge going down, so that's interesting timing for the Forge. Looks like Mana will be looking to get some upgrades before any potential aggression. If you guys have any requests for videos that you'd like cast, by all means please send them to aussiestarcraftreplays at gmail.com, and I'll do my best to grab and cast those for you. I do spend a fair bit of time trawling around the internet looking for great games to cast. I don't preview them before I watch, but I do use things like the number of games in a series to help determine how well fought or how much of a landslide particular series may have been. And but I certainly can't watch every game of StarCraft that's played. So if you see something and think it was epic, by all means share it with us, and we will cast it for you here on the channel. So ForGG's now got his natural up and running. Looks like he's actually was supply blocked for a moment there, but stim pack more than halfway done. And the factory now going to be following this up. So this later factory timing is generally indicative that players grabbing the factory for the starport so that they can start to produce those medevacs. So quite a few marines coming out here. I wonder if ForGG will pick up that this observer's actually moving out. Could scan and take this out if he so desires, but instead electing to use those resources on the mules. It's not a bad choice there. Oh, actually, there he goes. Spotted at that time, and down the observer goes. It's always a nice little pickup. Generally forces the Protoss player to produce another observer, which delays things like the Immortals and Colossi. Looks like Mana's actually going to be going for the Storms again in game number 5, and we've seen just some absolute precision Storms out of Mana, so I always expect good things when I see Mana go for High Templar. He certainly potentially put ForGG off base with the pace of Game 1. Game 1 saw obscenely quick Colossi, so grabbing the High Templar in successive games always creates that little bit of uncertainty for ForGG. He doesn't know if he's going to be facing a very quick timing of the Colossi, or whether Mana will go for his very proficient High Templar and Storming ability. Our first medevacs now on the way, and this is the point in the first game that we actually saw those Colossus, so you can imagine just how difficult it is to hold those off when you're seeing them and only just producing your first medevac. Certainly no Vikings to speak of. So it made life very difficult. This time Mana electing to go for High Templar, has 2 on the field now. Storm's halfway done, and I think we'll see quite an early push out of Mana here. Though it looks like ForGG similarly minded, bringing his factory down here, a lot of Marines. No combat shield upgrade just yet, but it should finish up before these Marines can make their way to Mana's base. If Mana catches these Marines though before they have that combat shield, it could be devastating. They could actually die very quickly to these Storms. Proxy pile going to be cancelled there, and Millennium's ForGG going to come down with what's looking like quite a terrifying Terran army. Is trying to make up his mind, obviously, darting back and forth. The factory here is going to do a little bit of a scout out, try and get an idea exactly what the defense of Mana is made up of. 6 gates are actually on the field though, so these drops are going to be quite easily counted. The factory already in play, and picking this off always useful if you can. You don't want to lose any units to do it, but if you can pick off the factory, actually prevents any further Starcraft starports from being made. The big attack coming in here, nice first Storm, going to force the Marines and Marauders to fall back out of its range. Still a lot more High Templar behind this. Early Photon Overcharge is going to force these back, and we can see that ForGG was actually producing Vikings, but there's no Colossi in play, so nice tech choice out of Mana's made those 2 Vikings slightly redundant, and these Marines and Marauders instead going to have to be very mindful of any Storm action that may come down. Actually have 3 High Templars on the field now, which is certainly not a huge number, but certainly enough that 3 key Storms could do a lot of damage. Photon Overcharge still in play here, actually going to be shooting the Viking. But detachment of Marines and Marauders trying to bait out the first Storms. We're now up to 6 High Templar though, and there's quite a lot of High Templar. 4 Vikings on the field, so quite a lot of Vikings that actually aren't doing a whole lot. The first Ghost is on the field, so we have ForGG trying to counter these High Templar in this game. He's seen how effective they were in previous games, and certainly doesn't want to expose himself to any unnecessary Storms in this game. So the Zealot's going to clean up this perhaps the luckiest Marauder ever. This Zealot decided not to finish the job, and we have ForGG trying to dart in and get a nice drop in the main, but we have a High Templar here with plenty of energy for feedback. It's going to make it quite difficult to unload there in the middle of a horde of angry Zealots. Angry Zealots, it sounds like a Starcraft version of Angry Birds, but I would certainly play it if it was out there. One lucky Marine getting to go to town in the mineral line, while a few other Zealots try to delay these reinforcements. does get, oh no, didn't actually get an SCV kill. Obviously suffered from what happens to me at a buffet. You get there and there's just so much food on the menu that you can't decide. I mean, so he actually had a go at something like 8 different SCVs, but unfortunately couldn't decide which one he wanted to swallow, and the lucky SCVs get a break and don't die horribly. ForGG actually got a lot of zealots on the field, and there's certainly more zealots than you want on the field, or mana, sorry, is more zealots than you want on the field. You've got to be careful of having too many zealots in your late game composition. This 18 certainly a lot. They currently make up a lot of the supply of Mana's army. Needs to be careful to keep things like his High Templar, and his other damage dealers are fairly high in number, but currently the zealots can be kited quite steadily, so there's probably a compositional disadvantage, but if he engages here on this high ground, low ground ramp, he could end up in a fair bit of trouble. First few Marines and Marauders trying to engage here, pick off any High Templars they can. It's a nice time warp, goes down these ghosts of finding themselves in poor positions. The zealots are going to continue to butcher their way through that, and we see quite a few unlucky Marines and Marauders getting cut in half by those overactive Psyblades. Still a lot of zealots on the field, and I'll be happy when we see more things like the Colossi that are on the way now. As we see, there's no actual, there still is 4 Vikings, so certainly ForGG could, a little bit of a bad rally point on those Medivacs, exposing them to the Archons. The Archons actually pinned here behind the force, using the Vikings to soak up a bit of extra damage, which is ordinarily a great choice, but given the Colossi are now coming out, that's perhaps a sacrifice that ForGG is going to regret momentarily. And losing a lot of those Medivacs as well to that bad rally point certainly hurts as well. So ForGG trying to get a 3rd base up here. How many workers have been killed? It's been a great game to be a worker. 2 workers killed to 1, but ForGG grabbing his 3rd base as Mana's had his established for some time as well. Slightly terrifying looking Terran army. This much, well, it's actually only 1-1 Marines and Marauders, so certainly not as bad as been in past games. So big storms landing in the middle, massive storms there. Those High Templars doing massive damage, 15 kills on that High Templar. So, and this High Templar, unfortunately, 8 health. He's been through the wars himself. His storm's not quite as valuable as his comrade. They probably need to send him back to the academy for a bit more training. Mana of Millennium. I keep getting these 2 players back to front. Sorry, guys. ForGG actually obviously sick of this proxy. He's whiffed out where the pylon is, and that pylon's unfortunately going to meet its steady end. These zealots are going to warp in, but find they've bitten off much more than they chew. The main army actually swinging behind ForGG, and there's a massive engagement here. ForGG being caught way out of position. These zealots able to wrap around and do massive damage to these Marines and Marauders. The Colossus behind it actually raking in a lot of kills there, and ForGG GGing out in style there. The double GG, does that mean it was an excellent game? I'm not entirely sure, but Mana actually managing to make it work there with a very nice engagement. Morphed in a few extra zealots to bait those units forward, and then swung in with the remainder of his army. So just a great engagement there, and Mana able to take the King of the Hill, topple ForGG off it, but he did have a great run, winning those first 2 series, and looks like Mana will stay to challenge, stay as King of the Hill and challenge our newcomer, who I think everyone will be excited to know is Liquid TLO. So we will be seeing the little one in the next game series. He will be taking on Mana in some epic Protoss vs Zerg action. So please don't miss it, guys. If you haven't subscribed, by all means please do. You'll see the videos as they upload, and we'd love to see you on the channel. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the series, and we'll catch you all in series number 4, which will be Mana vs TLO.